Welcome to Dracula Daily. Today is our third installment, May 5th. But importantly, May 5th is the date that Jonathan Harker is writing this entry. The bulk of the action takes place on May 4th, yesterday, picking up directly from where the last entry left off. What we're seeing here is Harker traveling deeper and deeper into the Carpathians, further and further away from civilization, and he's noting these things in a travelogue kind of style, still recording his meals, how many glasses of wine he drank, the picturesque sights that he's seeing. But we're getting these little hints, of the horrors and the danger that lie ahead. And some are more subtle than others. He creates a list of the words that the peasants are speaking about him when they think that he doesn't know what they're saying. Ordog, Satan. Bokol, hell. Srigokia, witch. Vorlok, Bikorslok, Slovak and Serbian for either werewolf or vampire. The peasants keep crossing themselves, and for the first time he sees the malokio, to ward evil spirits away. All this while also noting how beautiful the sunset is, and the scenery, and how colorful things are, and the people praying by the side of the road, too distracted by their prayers and these shrines to the dead to even note that the coach is passing by them. Finally, the sun sets, it gets cold, and the driver of the coach is urging Harker not to meet his transfer to the coach that will take him to Castle Dracula. Just as the woman back at the inn has warned him to wait a day or two, so too does the coachman. But the coach from Castle Dracula arrives, and Dracula's coachman takes Harker away. Harker looks back at coach that he was in, and his late companions are crossing themselves again, which is probably the final benediction that we'll see, perhaps, in the whole novel. And with that, he is off in the hands of Dracula. And the first thing that Dracula's coachman does, Dracula's coachman being Dracula himself, is drive the coach in circles and circles in a confusing way that Harker doesn't notice at first. Why is he driving in circles? Well, when Harker checks his watch, it's almost midnight. And then a moment later, presumably midnight itself, the dogs begin to howl. And this is why it's important that all of this action has actually been taking place on May 4th. Because May 4th, as we have been warned, is the eve of St. George's Day. And at midnight, all the evil things in the world will have full sway. And as the dogs begin to howl, and they move deeper and deeper into the Carpathians and into the Borgo Pass, the dogs start to give way and be replaced by wolves, once again taking Harker away from the domestic and into the primordial. Just a note here that I have no answers for, but the blue light that Dracula's coachman has to get down from the coach and contend with multiple times, what is that? I don't know if there's ever a payoff for that. I'm not sure it's going to come back around, and I'm wondering if anybody else has any thoughts on that. Moving on, we finally arrive at Castle Dracula, and this whole trip to Castle Dracula was beautifully interpolated in Young Frankenstein, and Harker even makes special note of the fact that the great doors on Castle Dracula have no knockers. And then finally, we meet Count Dracula himself. And it turns out that he is a chill dude. Imagine looking back to the Clone Wars, the animated show, the first iteration of it from Genndy Tartarovsky, and the first appearance of General Grievous, which is masterfully handled in a beautiful visual style. We get these glimpses of him in these terrifying little vignettes that grow increasingly closer and closer to us, until finally he's there. Now imagine that same occurrence, but when Grievous finally is right in front of you, he says, "Hey, come on in out of the cold. Let me carry your bag. I've set up this nice, comfortable room for you. I'm not hungry, but I will sit here and keep you company while you sup, have a cigar, and then off to bed with you. You've had a long trip, which I'm sure has been harrowing, so I'm so glad you're here, and welcome." He's actually the only friendly, relatable person that we've met on this journey so far. There's only one hint of the horror that he has in store, and it's when he speaks this most iconic line of dialogue in response to the howling of the wolves. "Listen to them, the children of the night. What music they make.